is another great principle in Islam. It is a hadith reported by Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه عن أبيه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: لو يعطى الناس بدعواهم لادعى رجال أموال قوم ودماءهم لكن البينة على المدعي واليمين على من أنكر. هذا حديث حسن رواه البيهقي في السنن وغيره هكذا وبعضه في الصحيحين. And the authority of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, that the Messenger of Allah said, were people to be giving everything that they claimed, men would unjustly claimed wealth and lives of other people. But the burden of proof is upon the claimant, and the taking of an oath is upon him who denies. This hadith Hasan, narrated by al-Bayhaqi rahimahullah, and the author, narrated by al-Bayhaqi and others. Part of this hadith was reported in al-Bukhari and Muslim. This is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ explained to us that no one can claim something is not of his or her, and their claim will be just taken for granted like that. You need to have a proof. You need to have a proof to support your claim. And this has become one of the most fundamental principles that judges through the history of Islam used when they judge between people. That in court system, this is one of the most common hadith. You will happen to hear it all the time from the Muslim judge, that he will always say the burden proof upon the one who claimed, the claimer. And if he doesn't have a proof, that's where Islam sits apart. In a regular court, if I go to any court which is not doesn't rule between people based on Sharia, if I go and claim something and I don't prove, it will be dismissed. That's right. But here Islam says no. Not only will not be dismissed. If you say, do you have a proof? He said, no, I don't have a proof. The judge will not say, hey, go. No. The judge will say to the person that he claimed against, or he claimed that he took his, let's say, money or broke the contract, whatever the case is, he will bring that person and ask him, did you do that? If he said, yes, I did, and he admitted, that became the proof. But if he said, no, I didn't, the judge will ask him to make an oath, yahlif. He said, uqsimu billah, I swear by Allah that I didn't take his money. I didn't take his property. I didn't take the gold, whatever is the case. Only in a case where the judge will see, as the fuqaha al-Malikiyya, they had interest in this specific point that I'm going to mention right now, very much. They talked a lot about it, which is the issue of ادعى غير المنظورة. The judge sometimes, there is claims, he will not look at the claim at all. He will dismiss it without bringing the other person. I have a question for you guys. When you think the judge can just dismiss, he will not need an oath from the other guy to set him free or anything. Huh? No, he doesn't have a proof. He just made a claim.
The person passed away.
No, he's lying. The claim is dead. It doesn't even make any sense.
If the claim has no valid at all, it doesn't make any sense. Like Osama gave an example. If the person is dead, but still you can claim something over a dead person. Okay? But you have to have proof. But here, if the claim doesn't make any sense, like the judge clearly, like he would say, yes, when I was in Egypt with this guy, he did this, and this guy never actually been to Egypt. He never been to Egypt. Or he claims something, when did you do that? I did it last year. And last year this person was in jail. He was not outside. Or last year he was out, you know it is impossible. In this case, the judge will not even ask the other guy to come. Okay? So here, Ibn Daqiq al-Eid rahimahullah ta'ala said, هذا الحديث من أصول الأحكام وأعظم مرجع عند التنازع والخصام. This is one of the main reference that we use to judge between people who disagree with each other or claim things against each other. And it is not allowed for someone to judge between people and to ignore this rule, to ignore this hadith. And Ibn al-Mundhir rahimahullah said, there is a consensus among the Muslim scholars that anyone claims something against someone else must bring a proof. There is exception, and we'll learn these exceptions. There is exception. There is cases, there is scenarios that the judge will accept the claim even if you don't have a proof. If you don't have a physical proof. And I'll tell you when. Okay? There is something else will be required other than the proof. And the person who denies must make an oath to basically reject the claim. And that's what he said that this is something that ulama agreed upon. Umar ibn al-Khattab once wrote to Abi Musa al-Ash'ari, and he was one of his governor. He said, البينة على من ادعى واليمين على من أنكر وقضى بذلك زيد بن ثابت على عمر لأبي بن كعب ولم ينكره. Then he said that Umar radiallahu anhu said to Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, when judge between people, anyone claims something, ask them for a proof. And if he couldn't provide proof, the person who the claim made against him should make an oath that he's free from this claim. Free from this claim. لو يعطى الناس في لغة العرب لو حرف امتناع للوجود. يعني امتنع حصول هذا لوجود هذا. This what the Prophet ﷺ said. If basically he said were people be giving everything that they claimed unjustly, no, we don't accept that they given everything they claim, because they must provide a proof. So this didn't happen, which is giving them what they claim, because we need a proof. We need a proof. And by the way, when the Prophet ﷺ said men would unjustly claim wealth and lives of others, what that means, lives, dima'ahum. What that mean? Yani I come and I said to the judge, Umar Abu Hamra killed my son. I want him to be killed. That's, I claimed his life. That's right. You can't just say that. You need what? Proof. You need a proof that he killed. The judge said, what's your proof that he killed your son? Or he killed this person, to claim his life. Or wealth. طيب. يعطى الناس بدعواهم. دعوة, the word da'wa, different than the word da'wah. Da'wa with alif, with the alif al-maqsura. Ad-da'wah with ha. Like da'wah, giving da'wah to people. Okay? In English it all sound the same, but in Arabic they are completely two different letters. Ha and ya alif. Wa ha. They're completely two different words. Da'wah with which sounds in English, always people write it with a in the end without h. This is da'wah, it means claim. And the plural of it, da'awa. But da'wah with ha, which is giving da'wah to people, okay, it's not a claim. No, it is offered or inviting, okay, or guiding. And the plural of it, da'awat. You can tell the difference by the plural. Da'awat versus da'awa, okay? If it's hard for your ear to make the difference between how it sounds as single. طيب لكن يسمونها حرف استدراك في لغة العرب تأتي دائما بعد بين نفي وإثبات. Anyway, the Prophet ﷺ said men would have claimed the word in Arabic language was used لدعا رجال. طيب قالوا the word men, العلماء said, it doesn't mean only males. It includes male and female. But the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned men because most of the time, who go to court and make cases and make a problem in the court, most of the court visitors and the people in the shade, they are men. At least in that time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So خرج مخرج الغالب. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always give example of what's commonly practiced in the culture. So here the Prophet ﷺ, when he said, لَادَّعَى لو يعطى الناس بدعواهم لادعى رجال أموال قوم ودمائهم. Some ulama said the Prophet ﷺ said men because he said they claim the wealth and life of other men. The word qawm referred to men. So that's why he said men and men. But the hadith basically apply to both. Qawm in Arabic language, since we have people who like Arabic language, I guess, the word qawm usually refer to men. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا يسخر قوم من قوم. Then what's the next verse? ولا نساء من, no woman from woman. So that if qawm, basically qawm apply to both genders, but most of the time apply to men. That's why Nabi Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasis on the woman by mentioning them next, because commonly the word qawm used to refer to men, but it include both. وما أدري ولست أخال أدري أقوم آل حصن أم نساء. That's very bad poetry. He said, I'm not sure 100%. The people of Husn, آل حصن, أقوم أم نساء. يعني إيش؟ يعني هم رجال. He said, the آل حصن, I'm not sure. They are قوم or they are female? يعني woman. So he meant, qawm here means, are they men or women? So he used the word qawm to refer to men. So it's a common in Arabic language. That's why the Prophet ﷺ have used the word men in the beginning. But as I said, it applied to both gender. طيب. The claim that someone make out of three categories. Any claim the person make in court, okay, it can be classified to three categories. The first one, you make a claim of something against yourself. هذا يسمونه في القضاء في الشرع إقرار. That you claim that you have done this. You claim that I did this. So that claim, it's called إقرار, which it means what? Huh? What's اعتراف in English? Admission. So you admit conviction that I admit that I did that. So we call this the first category. The second category, that you make a claim against someone for yourself. I go to Hisham and I said, I claim that his watch is mine. هذه دعوة غير منظورة. He said, I don't have a watch. He said, so no. Okay. So let's say I claim, okay, this is what you possess, Abu Walid, for example, that your watch is mine. We call this da'wah, a claim. Okay? But this, we call it in Arabic da'wah. It's just a claim, in the court. الثالث أن يدعي للغير شيء على غير نفسه. I claim something, okay, in relation to someone other than myself. And it has nothing to do with me. For example, I claim that Muhammad Saad's coat that he's wearing belonged to Aqib. And I go to the judge, I made this claim. You know what? This coat belonged to Aqib. Miskin Aqib, it was taken from him by force. Okay, what we call this in Islam? لا. I go to the court, Waleed, what do you think? I testify. Shahada. يسمونها shahada. So three things here. You have iqrar, admitting, which is something to claim that to yourself. يسمونه iqrar. The second one, da'wah, which is I claim something basically for myself against someone. I claim something against someone for someone else other than myself. We call shahada, testify. Okay? Can I make this shahada to my own self? No. It's a claim. I can say, I'm a witness. Witness what? That this watch that you have is mine. That's not witness. That's a claim. That is a claim. طيب. Here the hadith is basically talking about the second category, which is claiming. I claim that so and so, okay, he owes me $100. Okay, where is your proof? What is your proof? And if we don't do that, there will be a mess in the society. There will be a mess in the society. Question: why the burden upon the claimant, the one who claimed? Why the burden of proof upon the one who makes the claim?
Because he's the one that keep making the claim, so he has to prove that the other person,
Very good. That goes back to a very important principle we know in the West. That you are innocent until proven guilty. Goes to that common sense. And this is a very Islamic principle. You are an innocent until proven guilty. So I am free from your claim until you prove me guilty. So that's why in Islam, the one who makes the claim must prove it, must prove it. طيب. And the other person is in the claim made against, he is in a strong position. That's why he doesn't need a proof, he just needs to make an oath. He just make an oath. طيب. The hadith in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Al-Mudda'i wal-Mudda'a alayh. I don't know if this crowd need this debate or not, but the ulama had a quite long debate over how to define the word the claimer and the one that the claim made against. Who is exactly? But for those who will benefit, they said, قالوا أن المدعي هو الذي لو سكت ترك. They said the one who makes the claim is the one who, if he remains silent, he will not be held accountable. يعني I claim that I have $100 that Sister Nara, for example, is supposed to give it to me. And I claim that against her. I go to the court. If I don't go file the motion, nobody will go after her. Okay? So if I just remain silent, nobody will go after. The case will be forgotten. So that's what we call the person who making a claim. طيب. What is the proof? البينه. The burden of proof. What's proof in Sharia? How the Muslim fuqaha define the word proof? Is it something explicit? Is it something has to be absolutely clear? Absolutely indefinite? It is something like no doubt about it? البينة in Arabic language هو ما يقع به بيان الشيء. Anything clear, anything that clarify, that's بينة. Proofs, the word proofs in Arabic language has levels, subhanAllah. Arabic language is a very rich language. So you have a word that's called بينة, which it means proof. You have another word means proof in English, but way higher than بينة, which is burhan. An evidence. Burhan. A clear evidence. طيب, is there something higher than burhan? Yes, ayah. The very sign. A very, very, very clear evidence. That's why the evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to prove the prophethood of his messengers, we call them what? Ayatul Anbiya. We don't call them bayinatul anbiya or barahinul anbiya. Actually, if you look at the books of Mu'tazila and the Ash'a'ira, the people of Ahl al-Kalam, who are not very good most in Arabic language, they use the word barahin. But the Quran always use the word ayah, because in Arabic language that's the most clear evidence that you can have or use as a proof for something. So bayina is not in the same level of burhan or ayah. So why? Because usually the ayat is something comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and no one can produce evidence like Allah. So when human beings want to produce evidence, they don't need it to be in the level of ayah or burhan. Because if we do that, actually most of the court system will collapse. Because most of the cases are not based on the absolute 100%. Any court system in the world cannot be 100%. It is basically based on what's most likely to be the 100%. Most likely to be the correct. Because you deal with the appearance. You don't know what is behind the appearance. Is that clear? So that's why you need the proof. So what is the proof? Some of our fuqaha, like the ahnaf and some of the shafi'iyya, they said the proof is 2 witnesses or 4 witnesses. 4 witnesses in case of adultery, 2 witnesses in cases like stealing or wealth. So if I say, you know what, I have this money against brother Usama, who just took it for his honeymoon and he didn't give me my money back. He just went to his honeymoon. Congratulations. Okay? So he went to his honeymoon and he used all my money, and now he coming broke and he said, I don't have any money. Probably the last part of my statement is correct. Okay. So he would say, you know what, I don't have money for you. Yeah, Habibi, how's that? He said, no. So if we go to judge, what the judge will ask me, give me what? Proof. I have to produce 2 witnesses against him. That's right. I say he stole this person did that. I have to produce 2 witnesses. Even if there is a paper, I have to produce 2 witnesses that he wrote the paper. So that's basically the proof, the bayin. Is this the only proof that can be used in court system? The Hanabila rahimahullah said no. Because you also can use proof even if it is not witnesses. And proof, they call this qara'inul aahwal. Yani, not explicit evidence, but things logically lead to the conclusion. And they give example of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam. Can anybody give me example how Yusuf's story prove that you don't need an explicit or 2 witnesses to make a case? Yes?
His shirt being torn by
the shirt. He said, look at the shirt. They don't have 2 witnesses that didn't rape her. They didn't have to. He looked at the shirt. If it was torn from the back versus torn from the front. There is another incident in the story of Yusuf, shows you also that you don't need an explicit proof.
His shirt when his brothers went back to his father.
Ya salam alayk, Hisham. Ahsan wa ahsan. He said, when they brought his shirt with what on it? The blood. The father knew that they are lying. He doesn't have 2 witnesses that they were lying. But how did he realize that he's lying? Because it wasn't dripped. It was, no, the shirt was not dripped. There is a blood, but no, basically it's not dripped. So what? The wolf took his shirt off, then he ate him? If he attacked him, it will be ripped, you see. So there is no sign of attack on the shirt. ما كان القميص ممزق. That's why he said فصبر جميل والله المستعان على ما تصفون يعني ما تكذبون. He knew that this is lie because he had a qara'in al-ahwal. And al-ulama rahimahumullah ta'ala said that when the Prophet ﷺ said bayina, proof, Yes, this is in the common يعني practices. But if there is a lot of evidence that implies that this person have committed that, yes. For instance, if I see someone smell alcohol coming out of his mouth, versus seeing two witnesses seeing him drinking, would be enough? Yeah, enough. الاحوال. Look at the court. You know what? I'll give you an example. One of my friends, judge. Okay? This judge, he told me his story when he first became judge. He said, I had a guy who came and they had eggs inside his body. Okay? They put it through the anus. And this, it's an egg filled with heroin, the drugs. Okay, so that's how he smuggled it inside Arabia. So the guy said, I was sleeping and I was like out for 2 days ago, and I don't remember having this in my stomach. He said, give me proof that I have done this intention. So he said, as a new judge, he said, I was like, what if really someone did this to him while he is unconscious? Then I asked the doctor. I wanted to judge him. You know? So the doctor said, first of all, if he has this, he cannot eat or drink for the last 48 hours. If you have this in your stomach, he said, you don't eat at all. He doesn't go to the bathroom. He's like, so he said, and the police report saying that the flight steward proved that he never consumed any water or anything. You know, he has to move because if this thing's blown inside his body, he's gone. He's dead. So there is certain things he has to do. So that means he is fully aware of what he is carrying. And nobody gonna shovel something in your behind, okay, in your rear end without you knowing. You have to know. So these are not explicit, but almost like explicit. And you can make a judgment based on that. So Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said, if you're only looking for something like two witnesses over everything, معظم مصالح البشر تتعطل. Most of things will be basically not going to work. Okay, you have now, and he said, وتختلف باختلاف الأحوال والبلدان والأزمان. This will be different from one time to another. From one time to another. Because in modern days, for example, DNA can be used as qarina, as an proof to prove in certain cases. Even though we don't have witnesses. But the DNA can prove that this man was in this crime scene. Okay? You have, for example, other like voice recognition. Basically, fingerprint, shoes print. And you put all this case together and it will be enough. You don't have an explicit. But if you put all this together, it's good enough to build what? A case. And it's good enough to make the judge make a judgment against that person. So here, al-bayyinah, it doesn't mean only witnesses. Al-bayyinah, it means something clear that link that person to the claim. Is that acceptable for you guys? Is that acceptable? طيب. طيب. There is exceptions in areas العلماء said. For example, not every claim it needs two witnesses or proof. الفقهاء give example. He said if someone claimed that they reached the age of puberty, يعني عاقب son said, Baba, I became an adult. He said, hey, let me check your underwear. You can't do that. You know? To prove Allah you reached the age of puberty. Or you can't do that. Okay, prove that you have a period. I need to see it. You don't need to do that. So if the person claim that, it's acceptable. Claim that, it will be acceptable. Is that clear? Okay. So another woman, another example. If a person don't pray, and he said, you know what, I pray home. We don't ask him for proof. We don't ever ask him. Yani, for example, you say, hey, I need proof that you pray at home. Can you say that? No. So if someone said he doesn't pray, and it's enough for him to say, you know, I pray at home, خلاص, you don't need proof against that. العلماء said also, لو ادعى فقير حاجته إلى الزكاة. If a poor person said, I need money for my zakat, I deserve that, I'm in debt. Al-ulama said, you're not supposed to ask for proof unless there is evidence shows that he's lying. But other than that, his claim is enough to get him eligible for zakat. Also, al-ulama said, there is other cases which is more closer to the court system, which is two issues here in Sharia. A claim against somebody is made in the court, and the judge will not need witnesses for it or evidence for it. Which is al-qasama wal-li'an. Do you ever heard these two words, these terminologies? Al-li'an, if a man accused his wife with adultery. He said, my wife, she committed adultery. Does the qadi, the judge, ask him for 4 witnesses? No. He doesn't need 4 witnesses to make the claim. He can make the claim, and what is his evidence will be? The proof that he has. He swear by Allah 5 times that he is saying the truth. 4 times he's saying the truth, and the 5th that Allah's anger upon him, Allah's curse upon him if he's lying. So that's enough to make the claim. The judge will not ask for a videotape, will not ask for a picture, will not ask for a DNA, will not ask for anything like that. Will not ask for witness. Will say, hey, you swear by Allah. And what about her? She also make an oath 4 times that he's lying, and the 5th, she said, Allah's anger upon me if I am lying. And that's enough to protect her from the punishment. The other one, this is called in Islam what? Al-li'an. The other one, al-qasama. Anybody heard this word before? Al-qasama? Al-qasamatu wal-lawath يقولون في كتب الفقه. Al-qasama is 2 tribes. 2 tribes. Okay? These guys woke up in the morning and they found a dead body in their territory. And the other people, the other qabila, the other tribe who had a problem with this tribe, said they killed our man. He was killed in their territory. Okay? And let's, just to make it an example, easy. 2 clubs in the modern days. 2 clubs, 2 centers, the competition. Okay? Like let's say you have 2 teams. They are always challenging each other. And one day they found a dead body from that team, from the fan of that team, in the club, in the club, which is their basically competition. Who did it? We don't know. Somebody put the body here. What the judge will do in something like this? No proof, no witnesses, nothing. Al-ulama said in this case, he will ask them, all of them, to come together, and they make a very, very strong oath that they are free from this bad man's blood. And they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to curse them all, and to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them all die before the end of the year if they are lying. Part of the oath. That all this tribe will die before the end of the year if they are lying. And they are like, know about the killer, but they try to hide him. And this has happened during the Prophet ﷺ time, and the whole entire tribe died before the end of the year. And they did this in front of the Kaaba. And this is very serious. And in Nabi ﷺ also happened again an incident with Jews, two tribes. And the Jews with another tribe from the Medina. And when the Prophet ﷺ brought both of them, he read this verse. إن الذين يشترون بعهد الله وأيمانهم ثمنا قليلا أولئك لا خلاق لهم في الآخرة ولا يكلمهم الله ولا ينظر إليهم يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم. In Surah Al Imran, the Prophet ﷺ recited this verse as a reminder. That's why the Muslims said, if you ask someone to make an oath to defend himself through oath, remind him by reciting this verse, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those who will make an oath and using Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names just for a worldly reward, just because they want to protect themselves, because they want to gain something. You know, he took this person's land or money or property, and he doesn't want to give it back. And he said, oh Allah, this is mine, Allah, I didn't take it. He said, those who do that, they have no chance in the akhirah. Allah will not talk to them, He will not look at them, He will not honor them, and they will face a severe punishment in the day of judgment. In the day of judgment. كان الأشعث ibn Qais had a problem with a Jew person in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So he came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, I give this land to this Jewish person to use it for a while and return it back to me. And now he said, no, this is my land, I got it from my family, you have nothing. Jahadani ardi. So the Prophet ﷺ said, do you have a proof that this land is yours? He said, no. Then the Nabi ﷺ said to the Jew, swear by Allah that this is your land. Then Al-Ash'ath ibn Qais said, he will swear. He doesn't have a problem with swearing. Okay? So then Nabi ﷺ told him, no, the proof and the burden of proof upon the one who makes the claim, and the oath upon the one who denies. And this hadith is Sahih al-Bukhari. Sahih al-Bukhari. طيب. When you make an oath that this is not true, the claim, does this mean or give you the right to call the claimer liar?
No.
No. In Sharia, it doesn't open the door for lawsuit case. Okay? Because that oath, هذه اليمين, that oath, it's not a testimonial against him. It's an oath to defend yourself. End there. Doesn't make him a liar. We don't know. He's lying or not. He's lying or not. Also, you should ask the person to make an oath regardless of how honorable this person or not. Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu arda had a fight with Umar ibn al-Khattab over few trees, palm trees. Ubay said, these palm trees belong to me in my land. Umar said, no, that's not your trees. قال هذا جزاذ نخلي قال لا. Or some a property, they fought over. This said mine, this said mine. Then he said, let's go to the judge. Let's go to the judge, Zayd ibn Thabit. Then he said, a judge, you are his boss, you are the Amir al-Mu'mineen. So Ubay ibn Ka'b said, you are the Khalifa, he works for you, the judge. Then he said, no, he doesn't. He works and he judges based on justice. And I will go with you as Umar, not as the Khalifa Umar. Not as Amir al-Mu'mineen. So they went to Zayd. So they went to Zayd ibn Thabit. Then he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Then Umar said, don't call me that. Call me Umar. Because I'm not the Khalifa in front of you. I'm in front of you like him. Then he said, come here. He said, no, don't let me sit next to you. I sit in front of you next to Ubay. So Ubay ibn Ka'b, when he saw that, he basically was like surprised. He shouldn't be surprised anyway. Then he said, do you have a proof that this claim is true and this palm tree belongs to you? He said, no. Then he said, so why do you ask Umar for that? He said, because it is mine, but I don't have proof. Ask him to swear, to make an oath. Then Ubay said, "I'fi Amir al-Mu'mineen." Out of respect, don't ask the Khalifa to make the Umar. He's like the best companion after Abu Bakr. You make him make an oath. Then Umar said, "Ma, be quiet. I will make an oath like anyone else." Because that's the sunnah. Then Umar said, "I swear by Allah. I swear by Allah. I swear by Allah that this trees belong to me and it doesn't belong to him." He made the oath. Then he said, "Done?" The judge said, "Done. Khalas, it's yours." Then he looked at Ubay. He said, "Done?" He said, "Yes, done." Then he said, "The trees are a gift to you." He said, "The trees are a gift to you." Then they said, "Ya Umar, so why did you do the whole thing? Like you took him to the judge." And he said, "For people to learn how to debate in front of judge, how to go through the system. أردت أن يتعلم الناس السنة. And I want people to know, no matter how big you are, you can stand in front of the judge and be like anybody else in front of in the court system." Which is something we enjoy in this country. We see it. Then when you go to the court, there is no back door, there is no, you know what, people, no matter how powerful you was, you go in front of the hearing and you became like anybody else. Also, in the other hand, Uthman radiallahu anh had once a debate with al-Miqdad ibn al-Aswad over 2,000 dirham. Al-Miqdad said, "I gave you 9. Uthman said, "No, 7. Al-Miqdad said, "I remember I gave you 7. 9. He said, "No, 7. So they went to the judge. So the judge said, "Do you have a proof?" Al-Miqdad said, "No." So Uthman, now he has to make what? The oath. So then he said, "You know what? I give you the money without the oath. Without the oath. Even Allah knows that it is only 7. So they said to him, "So why didn't you make the oath?" He said, "Because I know how people, a lot of people talk about Uthman bad." He said, "I was worried that people would say Uthman made an oath by Allah lying for 2,000 dirham. So I want to protect my honor by giving it to him." طيب. Ali ibn Abi Talib once lost his shield. Something that he dared so much because he was using it to protect the Prophet ﷺ in the Battle of Uhud and Badr. Something very special to him. He found it with a Jewish person in the market in Kufa. Minority person and minority. And Umar, Ali is the Khalifa, so he took him to Shuraih al-Qadi, who's taught and appointed in this position by Umar ibn al-Khattab. Umar died a long time ago. Shuraih well known. So the Jew and Ali ibn Abi Talib stood in front of him. Then he said, "This is my shield." Then he said, "Do you have proof?" He said, "Yes, I have witnesses, my sons, Al-Hasan and Hussein." Then he said, "They are your sons, cannot be witness. Would you swear that this is your shield?" He said, "Yes, that's mine." Then he said, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Wallahi, I know that you're saying the truth and I know that he's lying. But this is his shield. Because you failed to provide a proof." Then the Jew said, "If this is the case," and the judge finished, he said, "Yes." He said, "I found it in the street. I found it dumped somewhere and I picked it up. But Wallahi, this is the same justice that Musa used to judge based upon between us. Take the shield. And he gave it to him. This is when our court system, this is when we have justice, this is when really judge deserve the word justice. Okay? But not unfortunately what's happening today in the world. طيب. So Islam have taught us to be a just nation and to be just. And by the way, use this even with your children, with your family. Don't accuse one of your children without proof. Don't accuse your wife without proof. Make sure that you learn this in your real life. And this is a practical benefit here. That don't make an accusation to people and make a judgment upon your accusation without having proof. Don't follow what we call assumption. One of the things that we learn from this hadith, that Islam cares so much to protect people's wealth and life. That's why he asked for evidence in case you want to claim someone's wealth or life. Also, Islam teaches us to be practical. People will not be idealistic. Not everybody will be perfect and nobody. No, Islam said there will be people claiming other people's properties online. No matter how good or bad the society is, that's reality. So don't live, that's why you need a law. That's why there is no way a society, human beings can develop a society without a law, and that law enforced and protection to protect people. Number 3, that we cannot judge someone based on the claim, no matter how honorable that person is or special that person is. It has to be proved. Whenever there is a dispute, we always start, one of the benefits from hadith, we start with the one who made the claim, not the other way around. Okay? So if somebody accused Sheikh وليد that he is this and that, you don't go to Sheikh وليد, you go to what's your proof to say that? Before you even open the subject with وليد or Ahmed or... طيب. Also one of the benefits that if someone bring a proof, he deserves the claim. One of the benefits that you cannot judge between people with anything except what is in Sharia, what Islam have defined, not what you think is true. Like Sharia, he said, I know that you're saying the truth, Ya Ali, and I know that this guy is lying, but he cannot judge based on what he feels. That's why it's so interesting when you see, I don't know if this is a law or not, but my father used to say, I have some of my relatives and uncle of mine and others like very high rank in the justice system in Egypt, and judges and stuff like that. But what I heard, for example, that they have something, a concept it called, ما تقر في نفس القاضي. If the evidence are present in front of the judge, there is evidence, but he feels that this is not right, he can go with what he feels. They have something kida in the law. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is like something my father was telling me about it through my uncle. Okay? So I was like, how can this goes against what I've been learning? You can't just what you feel. It is what the proofs are. What the proofs are. That's why if you ever been to jury, basically duty, okay, they ask you to follow the law, not just what you feel. It's based on the proof that you see and you hear. One of the benefits of this hadith, that the people are innocent until proven guilty. One of the benefits of this hadith as well, that Islam cares so much to protect people's honor and money and wealth, and no one can basically violate them without clear proof. That the oath should be given by the one who denies. Why? Because why there is an oath? By the way, even if he refused to say, I'm not going to swear, or I'm not going to make an oath, we're not going to take this property from him. We're not going to take, it doesn't mean the property go to the other guy. No. Let's say I claim this watch, and he said, I'm not going to make an oath. It doesn't mean the watch became mine. because I failed to prove proof. But the oath comes what? To remind the person that there is another court in the day of judgment where Allah doesn't need proofs. That's the whole purpose. So one of the beautiful things about Islamic ruling, that it connects the person with the akhirah. It's not only worldly punishment or worldly rewards, it is something to connect the person with the akhirah, with the unseen, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who knows the secret and what's done in the public. Also, it shows you that the oath is something very honorable in Sharia, something very special. It became like equal to the proof that you produce to claim your right. It's also like a proof for you to defend your right. It's so important. That's why al-ulama said, you know, if someone make an oath in case like this and he was lying, what this oath named? You know what the ulama call this oath? يسمونها اليمين الغموس. The oath al-ghamus. The al-ghamus, it means the dipping oath. You know why they call dipping? Because that will lead you to be dipped in hellfire. To be dipped in hellfire if you're lying. If you lying. And it dip you in the إثم لأنها تغمس صاحبها في الإثم وفي النار. نسأل الله العافية. The last one benefit, the judge has to be just. And judgment has to be based on justice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us. And inshallah next week we'll talk about very important hadith as well, which is من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره, which is the hadith about changing the evil and the munkar. Yes.